Alisin ko siguro ito, no? Thank you very much, Nars. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Maybe there are those who still don't know me. I'm Renato De VIlla, a longtime friend of President Ramos. First and foremost, I would like to convey in behalf of my family our deepest sympathy and condolence to Mrs. Wing Ramos, who I understand was here earlier today, and the rest of the family of former President Ramos. It is an honor for me to be one of those who will pay tribute to him and honor him tonight. I first met President Ramos in 1957 at the foothills of the Sierra Madre in Tayabas, Quezon. I was a second lieutenant, fresh from PMA, and President Ramos was a captain. I was assigned in the 3rd Battalion Combat Team, and President Ramos was assigned in the headquarters of the 2nd Military Area. We were in the area for operations, looking for and trying to hunt down a small band of insurgents called, especially for the young ones, Hawks, HUKS, for Hukbong Mapagpalaya ng Bayan. Or they were the insurgents during our time. When I saw him, we greeted each other and exchanged notes with respect to the operations that we are conducting. And thereafter, we parted ways to pursue our respective missions. That was in 1957, or 65 years ago. A long, long time of our friendship up to the day that he left last Sunday. Forward to 1986. FVR, as is fondly known to all those who served with him in government, was the chief PCINP and concurrently Vice Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines under General Fabian Ber. I then was commander of the PCINP command in the Bicol region, in Region 5. And concurrently, commander of the Regional Unified Command under General Ver, also in Region 5. Under my command and control then was the entire Philippine Constabulary Organization in the Bicol region, in all provinces, plus 1 battalion of Army, officers and men, and a battalion of the Philippine Marines. On the second day of the crisis in Manila, the People Power Revolt, President Ramos called me one at night and asked me if I knew what is going on. And of course, I said yes. And he said, okay, you stay there and stick to your mission of maintaining peace and order in your region.
But additionally, he said, try your best not to get the Army and Marines involved in what's going on, and try to prevent them from going to Manila. He then reminded me to keep peace in the region and ensure that the NPA do not take advantage of the crisis that is developing in Manila. FVR called me again from his base in Kamkrame and told me that Kamkrame was about to be attacked by forces under General Baer and still loyal to President Marcos. He asked me to assemble a company of PC officers and men and be ready to reinforce Kamkrame and for our boys to be picked up at the Naga airport the following morning. That task was accomplished totally, and our boys did not get engaged along the way because they were along the way to Krame because they were protected by priests and nuns who surrounded them as they marched beyond the lines of the Marines who were poised to attack Krame and until they reached the camp. So, President Ramos or FVR conveyed that a second company that I was preparing to send was no longer necessary. He just told me, stay put and be ready to come to Manila and report to me, which actually happened later. We now fast forward to 1989. This was the year when Gringo Honasan and the RAM launched their biggest and strongest coup attempt against the Cory government. However, not many know that that last attempt, though it was large and heavy, was doomed to fail because prior to that time, sometime earlier in 1987, President Ramos had already decided our stand insofar as the government is concerned. He called for a conference, a closed-door conference of major service commanders and the chief of constabulary, and directed that they support his stand to defend democracy and the Cory government from a regime change. And that settled in the minds of most of us in the commander's level, as well as the soldiers under us, what the mission should be insofar as coup attempts is concerned. And that is to stop those coup attempts and prevent a regime change of the Cory government. After that meeting, he directed me to draft a message
to inform all major service commanders and all field commanders of the armed forces and the Philippine National Police to take orders only from him and no one else. So my friends, I related these short stories about my association with President Ramos, FVR, to most of us, in order to highlight his character, his values, and his leadership. Because I have worked with him, under him, for a long, long time. And we had developed an indestructible friendship with each other, as well as the ability to coordinate with each other insofar as serving the country is concerned. He was a military professional, a perfect officer and gentleman. And his leadership is simple. It was simply to set the example to all those who serve with him as well as those who follow him. He was the skydiver who would jump out of the plane with his parachute, but at the same time carrying a box of beer for his boys on the ground when he lands. He was also a disciplinarian insofar as duties and responsibilities are concerned. He stood as a model of what a soldier, a Filipino soldier should be. And we all saw that, we all recognized that, and he demonstrated that he can do what everyone under him can do. As a matter of fact, if some of you may have heard, every summer we have to hike from the Edsas Rhine all the way to Antipolo very early in the morning so that he can keep up with his health and exercise. And even when we were in a visit into the United States, in one morning, during breakfast, the late Bobby Romulo told me, "Rene, I almost died this morning." And I said, "Why?" FBR went for a jog, went jogging in the Central Park, and I have no rubber shoes. So I said, "Swerte mo yan, Bobby." So, many, many more things that I know. We have been friends for 65 years up to today. And it will fill 2 hours for me to relate all the things I know about who FBR was. There are many more incidents and many more situations where he proved himself to be a real leader. CSW, I think everybody in the cabinet learned what CSW is, as mentioned by Frank, and that is the completed staff
completed the stop work. He was very fond of writing his instructions in the margins of the memorandum or the letter that you send to him. And if it is not completely done, he would read it to you, return the memorandum to you, full of red ink, and you are required to change. He was also very concerned with how the government is being looked upon by media. And he instructed, I don't know, the cabinet members are here, he instructed the cabinet to make sure that they read the newspapers very early in the morning, and if there is something that pertains to them, for him to be able, for that cabinet member to be able to prepare a response and have it released to the media before 12 o'clock in the same morning. He caught me one time because he is used to waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, reading all the newspapers, as Frank said, and sending you memos of his clippings. And he said, do you know about this fund mess that is reported here in the bulletin that happened in Tanay, in the training command in Tanay? And I said, I'm sorry, sir, I have not read it yet. And he said, God damn, you better buy newspapers and read them. And make sure that you answer it before noontime. And so dutifully, I said, yes, sir. And that was the lesson. From that point on, he never caught me again sleeping with respect to news reports. So, my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, there are many more characteristics that I can tell you about FVR, our friend, our boss, our mentor, our guide, and our director, insofar as being in government is concerned. I believe, and I fear no contradiction on this, that FVR, as President of the Republic, had fully dedicated himself to the service of the Filipino people. He was indeed a disciplinarian, but at the same time, he was a compassionate person. And he paid much attention to his anti-poverty program. He also paid much attention to, this is his favorite phrase, leveling the field in business and industry. And I cannot think of any other person in government at that time, in a position of responsibility, who had such a passion for working for the people. I believe that, and again, I do not expect any contradiction to this. I believe that he has dedicated himself to the Philippines, to the well-being of the Philippines, coming from his mind and his heart. We have had a great president who tried his very best to move the country forward in terms of progress, as well as in terms of the well-being of the people. So,
my friends, after knowing him and being his friend, his supporter, his student for so long a time, and having observed him very closely, and at times almost everywhere that he went to, insofar as travel is concerned, I do believe that he was really, as Frank has said, a great president, a great statesman. He traveled to promote the Philippines, especially in the ASEAN region, in Europe and the United States. He went around to promote investments as well as trade, and to a certain extent, in certain cases, the security concerns of the country. So there you are. So there you are. We had a president who was a true Filipino patriot, a genuine and indefatigable leader of the country. He was, as I said earlier, a great president who remains to be matched by his successors. God must have observed FBR as closely as we did, and more, and said, "My son Eddie, you have worked so hard for so long for your country. It's time to rest." Sir, thank you for your most outstanding service to the Filipino people and our beloved Philippines. May you rest in peace in the loving care of our Lord in heaven. And I salute you, sir. Thank you.